Hey you guys, welcome to your weekly dose of fun, laughter, banter, and of course, a whole lot of real talk. Welcome to the Vineyard.
Woo!
This week, guys, we are talking about omelettes. How do you like your eggs? How do you like your eggs?
Funny enough, people don't like this. I like it a bit running. Kwanza ikiwa na mkate, it's how do you ask me a question then say yak?
Please, that is so un-African of you, Kengori.
Sonia, how do you like your eggs?
Over medium.
Over medium.
Over medium.
What is that?
Medium. Unajua vile unapaswa macho.
Decision paralysis. We just talked about that a few
You
episodes.
figure the egg without beating.
Oh.
Then you
That's
flip.
not sunny side
Yeah.
up.
Now I don't like sunny side up. When you flip it,
Uh-huh.
it becomes over easy. The more it cooks, it becomes now over medium.
Over
Now I
medium.
want the yolk not like runny, but like slightly cooked.
Kumbe we are
So
the same
na
group.
Kengori.
Sorry, that's what you wanted to
Exposure.
that's what you wanted to refer to when you were saying that you like them slightly runny.
Yeah, when you dunga the yolk inamwagika.
Hey, me, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But anyway.
Well, these guys have gone into a lot of English. I just like my eggs boiled.
Ukikuyu ni mbaya.
Msichana mrembo kama wewe.
You boil everything.
I like mine boiled, pursued with kachumbari and a little bit of streets in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Kadogo too.
Just a little bit of the kabumbi. But why am I talking about eggs? In fact, I think we've called this episode omelettes because you've got to beat eggs. In fact, you've got to break them
Yeah.
so that you can get to the egg. So whichever way you like your eggs, I like them boiled. They like it however they've described it. Well done, easy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to get to that egg, it needs to be broken.
True.
And that's what we're talking about today. And this is not something that so many young people like,
Yeah.
especially when
Yeah.
you talk about the place of the process. In fact, let me not call it suffering,
Yeah.
but the place of the process, the place of the struggle
Yeah.
before getting there. Kengori, do you think that in all the trouble you've gone through, it was important? Amma, do you think you'd have gotten to here without the struggle?
I would have liked to be here without that. Ningependa, by the way. Ningependa kukuwa hapa just what guys, so we thank the Lord. I just dropped. But I wouldn't be the person I was because it is those experiences that made me say, and those, you know, when you hit rock bottom, especially when you're in your 20s, you hit it so many times.
Rock bottom is now familiar.
You think you're there, then Corona hit you, like, where? Okay, we start again. So I think for me, I wouldn't be the person I was. And this is a question someone asked me, will you change how life turned out? Kitambo, I would have said yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not so as quick as to say yes or like it to change because I'm not sure I want to change the me I am now because it has taken a lot. Where your panel beating, who wants to now start thinking about another panel beating? No? So I think I'm now appreciating of that panel beating. Okay, for lack of a better word, the panel beating that I've gone through to be where I'm at today.
To be where you're at,
Yeah.
you're appreciating that. Son?
Honestly, guys, I don't think the process is fun. You know. Nikubali tu niseme ukweli.
Sema tu kweli.
Umekana chemistry kushika bonds za carbon haiji.
Convalescent, I don't know what.
I think I was just even reflecting on these 5 years I've been in school, and man, saa zingine I just sit and najipata tu akini nimeanza tu kuli. The process is not easy. I know it gets to a point, kwanza my motivational speakers, they're always looking back and saying, trust the process. Is the process trusting me?
It seems like you don't.
It's not easy. But I have come to also understand, or I'm in the process. Let me not say I'm there because that would not be honest. I'm understanding the importance because there's a certain resilience it has built. Me and my best friend, I have a best friend who is currently in the States. And I remember we've gone through life since primary. Mm-hmm. And any minor inconvenience, full-blown meltdown. I'm just, because you are so desensitized from, and especially before we got to this point. She finished last year. You know me, I'm now getting into this major big demon called joblessness. It's so scary, and she has been applying herself. And you know, I think even Timo, you can relate to this, where you're just sending CV, umetuma CV, umeapply makampuni, even before you even get a rejection letter. Leave even alone.
Yeah, just the response.
Yeah,
it takes like a
respond
whole
to me and
month.
tell me.
It's usually just
it's
crickets.
just crickets. Wanaku ghost too.
Yeah.
And you see all this is, but I can't say that it's fun to sit there and be applying yourself month after month after month, even to get an interview is a miracle. And then maybe even when you feel like you're just about to get it, it somehow just falls through the cracks. But there's a resilience it has built. Like, you just learn that in the process of the process, which of course has suffering and everything, because akikutuma CV mara kadhaa, you're in a classify kama suffering.
That's suffering. That's struggle.
And writing a CV, I mean, I thought it is one for all.
Yeah.
Like, it's not one
You
for
tailor
all.
make.
You have to tailor make for every person. Cover letters. You have to keep on. For crying out loud. I'm applying for 5 jobs in one day, and I have to keep on telling every one of them why I am seriously the candidate for every different institution and why I am the best fit.
Yeah. So even just that process is difficult. But when you see, like, if you, of course, at the end of it all, we hope that you do end up getting what it is you're striving for. It builds a resilience that you could not have gotten any other way without going through the process. Of course, some people, like we've just come from saying, life, you may find yourself at a privileged
Silver
position.
platter.
It's not wrong to be privileged. Like, life has dealt everybody a different card, and it's just the reality of it. But honestly, I think, to answer your question, the process brings out things in you that I don't think you can get any other way.
True.
Like, how else are you going to build resilience if you don't you go through the process, you struggle until you actually achieve. Again, resilience. Anyway,
It's difficult.
It's a nice word until you have to go through it.
Yeah, and you actually realize, Apana, it's just
Suffering, building endurance.
You know, and then endurance producing character producing hope, and hope never disappoints. Yeah, but the thing is, I think that sometimes, in all honesty, why is it that there's a lot of suffering, especially in the Christian context? Now I'm asking this I'm asking this from just the point of somebody who is like, because every single time as Christians, like, there has to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of want.
Yeah.
So that's something there always, like, there has to be deserts. There has to be, can't we, like, just thrive in this life?
Garden of Eden vibes, Buana.
Right?
I've never actually thought.
Why? Yeah. Because I'm probably thinking for somebody else, when I was in the world, there was still suffering.
Yeah.
While I'm coming to Jesus, in fact, I'm being told there's more suffering. Why not just stay where I'm at? Because in all honesty, what would you tell me to buy me into the suffering of Christianity, suffering like a Christian and not suffering like a person in the world?
The bearing your cross.
Yeah.
For me, I'm thinking of 2 things. One, a verse that says, it's a very funny verse, consider it pure joy. Me, I laugh. I'm like, God, what do you mean pure joy? When you go through trials of many kinds, Mungu. Joy is such a strong word, Boana, because it's a state of being. Yeah. So consider it pure joy when you go through trials of many kinds, for you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance and goes on. Second thing is the story of Job. If you've not read, go and read the story of Job. This guy had everything in life. He had reached a point in life whereby anything he wanted to do, he would do. Then all of a sudden, Shetani to akamua. Yes, let's narrow down on Job. Job is who I want.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that he used to go consult God. And God is like, go ahead.
Yeah.
And God, comes to a question, God approves of your suffering. It's like, I know he will.
Okay, you guys are not seriously buying me into this Christianity thing.
It starts begging more questions.
Yeah.
And you see, it trickles down to what we talked in the last episode. What does a relationship with God look like? And every relationship has a compromise. Yeah. Let's say if me and Hope are dating, there are places where I'll compromise simply because of the love I have for her.
Yeah.
But if I'm not willing even to do that, then am I really in a relationship with God and also God says, I cannot put you in a situation where you can't handle. And I know we like saying this very nicely. It builds character. Character is important. You know, you're told your giftings will take you somewhere, but your character is what will put you
keep
there.
you there.
So I do think there's a place of character, and we cannot emphasize what character is. That's why we have issues with people in power, because they are gifted, but character. Hey, this person says this one day, the next minute, this person is this, the next minute. So I think we underestimate character, and there's no other way of getting character. Aki, Mungu it was just designed like that. There's no other way of getting character. The only way you can get through character is some proper panel beating. The same way, for you to get this example usually used, for you to get the finest of diamonds, lazima your moto lazima uongeze your moto uongeze ndio upate the finest of the diamonds that you want. So for me I think kama wenyewe unapenda Mungu, imagine vumilia. Roho ya kwa wimbo na kwa primary ni kama Mungu alisikia nikiimba hiyo wimbo na nguvu. Maja. Ni kama
akasema that one. He's my strongest soldier. So on.
I feel I'll just say suffering, at least according to me, it births responsibility. When I think about money that I've just been given and money that I've earned.
True.
Do you get it? Like
the one you've earned. Please.
Even the way I will handle that money that I've earned. If you give me 50K right now, I can tell you, I can go and find a way to spend it in one evening. But nichape kazi 1 month, nipewe hiyo 50,000. Aye, my friend, there's a difference. So there's this responsibility, and that the process, which we are synonymously using the word suffering to refer to, it causes you to just to grow up. You get what I mean? We know many people who have succeeded without going through the process. And we know those who have sort of made their way slowly by slowly. I'm not saying it's a one size fits all, but what you can say for sure is that that period of the breaking of the eggs, that's discomfort and everything. There's a way when you put those two people here, that one who has not really had to do anything, has not gone through the process, the suffering, the breaking of the eggs or whatever it is, and this other one, these are completely different. You can see it because that process has, like we've said, it births responsibility, and it just causes you, I don't know,
is there another way of birthing responsibility? Emma, that is our best option.
Yeah.
The best option
it's the sure bet way.
It's the sure bet way.
It's the sure bet way. Of course, there are other ways, because like we mentioned, privilege. There's nothing you can do if you're from privilege.
If you're born in a privilege.
Yeah, and you're not saying that if you're from privilege, now you cast aside. I know there are many people who do that. You're really trying to escape the shadow of your parents or the shadow of the home that you're from. So you are trying to get to look for suffering
on your own.
Unakuta mtu ako pale na pepeta. Like, hey, brave.
You're apologetic by being born where you were born.
Instead of just
being grateful and using
at your disposal.
And I think that's usually it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you begrudge the people that have been born with what we think is a seemingly gold platter.
Yeah.
And we begrudge them because we're thinking, oh, you didn't even have to work hard
for
for what you are getting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what?
Therefore.
Therefore, I'm sorry that it doesn't sound so nice, but it's true. Angefanya nini?
Angambia Mungu pause.
They were born and they found themselves.
And if it was you who was born in that same position.
Exactly. What would you be apologetic about it?
So guys, welcome to my humble abode.
And what's so humble about this abode, by the way, if you've seen it?
This is just but one of many.
Like when somebody comes and complains and they're saying that they're going through a tough time because they can't fuel one of their cars. Yeah, they can't fuel one of their cars, and you are thinking we can't even buy kerosene to fuel our
But wisdom is good. In the place of suffering, I do believe wisdom and context is absolutely good.
Exactly.
Because don't aggrieve people in the name of...
You must also be able to hold space for that.
For that kind of person. Because that's probably the only reality they have gone through. So when you want them to start relating to your masaibus, in all honesty, extend grace for one
Your
another.
sweeper
Oh.
masaibu.
You know, you're
Or how
super
someone is
masaibus,
crying.
and somebody akona
Man, now we
king
can't afford
masaibus.
a flight ticket to have to use this. Jero, like,
You're like, wow, you guys are even traveling.
Wewe unajua tu Nairobi.
no, Shago.
You know, so
The
I just
reality.
think that in all honesty,
Yeah.
that if you ask me, suffering doesn't have to be there, but it's important that it's there.
I think everyone suffers in their own
Yes.
capacity.
Imagine it doesn't have to, because the initial design of the world was that we don't suffer.
Till
I mean, it was
the fall of
just
man.
it was just nini vacation vibes,
Yeah.
pale Garden of Eden and all of that. But then because of the fall of man, the order
Changed.
was shifted. And thank God for what Jesus Christ did for us, because I'm probably thinking it would have been way worse.
Would we be here?
It would have been way worse. But right now we have to appreciate that there's a place of, and we're not just spiritualizing it just because we're Christians, but you find that even the best of crafters or technicians in their craft and whatever will tell you that they never got it right at the first try.
Sure.
They will tell you that they had to go through a lot of season of sharpening. They had to go through so many hours of burning the midnight oil just to be able to craft
Yeah.
what they are doing right now, which we are looking at and thinking, wow, it's amazing. We've got this tendency of glorifying the end product and not appreciating the process
of it.
to be able to allow that. And you will know that that end product is glamorous the way it is because of the process,
Yeah.
not despite,
Oof.
because of the process, not despite of the process.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important that as young people, we realize that it's going to happen, whether you're on the side of Christ or not.
Yeah.
But at least we have it easier because we know there's somebody
Yeah.
we can run to,
Yeah.
and there's somebody we can cry to, and somebody who's telling us that there's hope at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking that you will sail through life expecting no turbulence,
That's been the Lulu.
then you're being delulu, and that's not a salulu.
That's not the
You will be seriously disillusioned.
Yeah.
Because I usually see it from this perspective. You know, even how we are saying the people who are born on a golden platter, they have their own issues. When you speak to them, you discover even them. Okay, it's also we can't relate with it. There's a level of suffering. There's a level of refinement they go through because for them that's how it looks like. And comparison is such a bad thing. That comparison will make you suffer unnecessarily.
True.
You're going to look for suffering wherever you go. But me, all I can say is one, the more you try to avoid suffering, the more it calls you by name. Because, oh, you want, I'm waiting, anafanya push-ups in the gym, waiting
Waiting for you.
waiting for you. So accept it. At least for me, my notion is there's a way life is.
Yeah.
And even the Bible says, you shall suffer. In fact, it says,
And
come
the
in
degrees to that
and
suffering
share with the cup of suffering as Christ. And I'm like, Mungu Baba.
So you're already taking an invitation to suffer.
Yeah. So you're like, okay. But the beauty of it, as you said, there's grace. There's grace to hold you throughout the whole process. And when you come out of that tunnel, let me tell you, you'll be grateful. The same way, maybe when you reach that, the same way, the 9 months for you will look horrible. But when the baby is there, you'll be like, you know what, now I understand why the 9 months had to look the way it looked.
Yeah.
With the pregnancy nose and the my gosh,
All
no.
that jazz. All that jazz. Yeah. I feel like there's an aspect of suffering that I've just been thinking about here. Okay. I feel like there's degrees to it because I was just thinking. I can say for myself and I'm so thankful to God. I have never had to think where school fees is going to come from. God has provided in a way that it has just never it's not an issue. And again, that may be some form of privilege because it's different. For somebody, we'll be sitting in church and you're hearing the prayer request of school fees, and maybe for somebody who
It doesn't even
like
hit
me,
home.
it doesn't hit.
Yeah, you're wondering how can you lack fees?
It doesn't. It actually just doesn't. Maybe it doesn't hit home because you don't directly relate to it. But there are other aspects, like you could see somebody maybe who doesn't relate to something like that, possibly comes from, I don't know, a broken home or something, and for them that is just a different. It's still suffering nonetheless. So extending grace to one another, like we started, I think, this episode by saying, in a way that I that could not be my form of suffering. For you, Timo, it could be something else, like that example, and just creating.
Don't belittle someone's suffering.
That's what I'm. Don't belittle somebody's suffering. Maybe you're saying like, oh my God, she can't even relate to that suffering thing, but you don't know what other form or degree or type of suffering that I'm going through. So there's no class of suffering ati wewe suffering yako ni kubwa.
Ati wewe badge.
You're competing to show one another whose life is difficult.
Mimi ndio niko sasa, because you've lacked school fees, and me maybe mine is I'm praying for my parents to stay together or something like that. And you see how first of all, stop crowding heaven with your silly prayer request. Ngoja Mungu anipe pesa niende shule, because you come from a beautiful mansion or a big home, and somebody looking at you like, look at this ungrateful,
human being. Yes.
Yeah. So holding space for one another, even as young people, and just seek to understand, and just have an open heart in a way that just hold space for one another, so that my suffering may look like maybe silly to you, but you it would not be right for you to disregard it or demean, even though maybe you feel like your problem is bigger than or yours needs higher priority in terms of the ranking of prayer requests.
And Kenyans, we have that habit. Kishinda kusumbua peke yake.
I think in general, if somebody is not suffering the same way you're suffering, then they're not suffering.
Or you feel like your suffering is the most serious, because we are selfish innately.
Umekosa mafuta kufuel gari. Bra, mimi fai kipanda 10 bob sendi kwetu. You even wonder how do those two things relate?
And then it's so even difficult to foster a friendship, because
you are constantly ever having to walk on eggshells around somebody. I think it's important that we actually say that. Omelette. Oh, eggshells, omelette. On a roll. I didn't even notice. One of our friends makes horrible jokes. Will be so proud of that one.
And don't see people for their issues, because for some time I used to see people, I see they are suffering. Sasa yana atakuja tu kutuambia mashida zake. Sasa surely you see, at times we brand people with their issues
because of their issues. And I like that you mentioned that. There's something that I will forever take from my mom, and I tell it to people and they laugh. I'm hoping you guys will laugh also. Thanks. It's usually that never look like your problems.
Period.
Even me, I've heard that word.
Every single time you laugh, people. I think I was very
Usikubali kukaa kama shida zako.
Never look like your problems, because more often than not, human beings are biased. However you present yourself, best believe that's how we're gonna take you. That's how we're gonna take you. If every single time you open your mouth, the only language you can speak is lack,
you are lamenting.
You are lamenting every single time. Words have power. Words have got power, and you will constantly keep on surrounding yourself with people such as that, because when you speak that negative language, it's gonna come. But if you believe in abundance, even if it's not yet there, this is not manifestation, by the way. It's the truth. Most of the times people usually ask, you people, Christians only say that words have the tongue has power only when somebody's saying negative things. But when I say that I want to get a car, you never tell me that the tongue has power. In all honesty, we are saying the truth. The tongue has power on either sides of the coin, but you've got to put in the work. And most of the times, the work comes with a struggle.
And there's a verse I like. It says, God, I believe, help my unbelief. So even when you feel like you're constantly complaining about something, say, God, this is my situation, but you say this in your word. So help me believe that above my circumstance.
I love that. Beautiful. Final words, Sonia?
I think my final words would be
stop suffering.
Just stop.
Why are you suffering?
You are suffering.
You are suffering.
Why are you suffering?
Those are your final words. Stop suffering. Go funny. I think my final words would be accept suffering as a part and parcel of life. Imagine, it's like we've just said, it's not that if you're in that season, and then again life is seasonal. You may be in the season where you're suffering. Imagine it's a season. Just march through it gracefully. at the end of it, the grass is going to get greener. So whatever season of life that you're in, if suffering, just accept that suffering is a part of life and just go through it gracefully. It will be well.
Wow. Kings.
Unacheka nini?
No, there's something I've remembered. The prayer Paul made. He prayed to God 3 times, then God answered him, "My grace is sufficient." So there are
And my
times,
strength is not
there are
perfect.
times you'll pray and
Yeah.
God will say, "I'm not making the grass greener.
Yeah.
I'm making you stronger." So
I'm giving you the hose pipe. You gotta dig the wells and water the grass.
Chapa wera.
yes.
I
Nice.
love that. Accept suffering as part and parcel of life.
Yeah.
And also, the end product is beautiful because of the process,
Yeah.
not despite the process. As usual, we kept to our promise. We had a lot of banter, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter. Till next week, wait for us here at the Vineyard.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.